Hey guys, Scripted, we're here with another video, and this is hilarious because we know that, at the end of last week, Kathleen Kennedy came out and pretended that everything at Lucasfilm has been hunky-dory. It's just been constant communication. This is after there was a report that she was going to be retiring, which then she sort of debunked, but then came back the next day and just made up all this stuff, and nothing, nothing's her fault, and everything that's been done is exactly what was expected, and then she even blamed, I don't remember exactly what she said, but she blamed fans or something for the fact that there were all these rumors of canceled projects, or that the canceled projects got found out, or there was too many of them, and you're like, dude, you're the one that was announcing these projects. What are you talking about? Anyway, she went on this big, huge thing, basically saying everything's perfect, our communication's been perfect, Lucasfilm's run like a top, everything's wonderful, basically is what she said. And it's funny because now here we are on a Tuesday. I think that was Friday or Thursday last week. Here we now are on a Tuesday, and now they've got the writer for the Rey movie coming out and running some defense here on behalf of Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm. But I'm going to call bull crap on this. And so let's take a look here. Like stepping into a hurricane, Rey's new Jedi Order movie writer describes what it's like joining Star Wars, offers reassuring update. Because that's what they're doing, right? They're trying to reassure because it looks bad. I'm going to focus mostly on what he says and not the article, but sometimes these articles just go on and on and on. Stephen Knight describes what it was like working with Lucasfilm, including Kathleen Kennedy, who he described as a pleasure to work with. According to Knight, he never expected to be writing the final draft. He expected to be working on the script for a few months before moving on. Oh! Well, that's weird. Why didn't you say that last year? Why did you wait until this whole debacle surrounding Kathleen Kennedy's retirement to now say that the original plan was, I was just going to work on it for a bit and hand it over and, somebody else can take the credit? What are you talking about? I always knew the process then moves on, so I don't know what of the writing that I've submitted is going to end up in whatever the next incarnation of that movie is. It's just great to be there and be part of it. Imagine how stupid that would be. And in two ways. First, for him, because as if, right? Oh, but then how flippantly that would make this makes them look worse if this is true, because they're saying, oh yeah, we just hire these guys and just throw a bunch of stuff on our desk and then they leave, and it's whatever, and then their attitude is yeah, whatever. If it ends up in there, I've submitted. Whatever I've submitted is going to end up there, whatever, I don't know, the next incarnation of the movie. It's just great, and it's fun to be there, it's fun to be part of that.
I just trying to run away up the 110 on the shoulder.
He said he felt pressure working on Star Wars. He described as like stepping into a hurricane in a way because of the fans, because of what they want and what they feel. So you're in this world and you're doing your bit in this world. And he really wanted to use that energy to do what I do, to contribute what I want to contribute. We know this is all bull crap, right? We're going to go back and we're going to check last year. He was the writer of the screenplay. That was what he was. He wasn't some guy who was supposed to just this is insane. What is going on? Why is everyone in Hollywood just run cover for this lady? What is going on?
Emotional, damn it!
It's just dishonesty everywhere. There's all these people that have contributed over the years, and it's absolutely a cultural tradition now. Cultural tradition now? Cultural tradition now? So, because Disney took it over and handed scripts and handed concepts and shows and movies and stuff to a whole pile of different people, instead of it being George Lucas's vision, now it's a cultural tradition?
Leslie Headland is ushering in this new era of Star Wars.
Are these people what planet are they on? You don't believe this, Steven. Somebody made you say this. This is nonsense. Star Wars was a cultural phenomenon for decades, long before Disney took it over, and now it's almost totally culturally irrelevant. It doesn't even get top 10 in ratings on streaming anymore. It has flop after flop after flop. The Rise of Skywalker literally made $50 million worldwide. That's what it profited after everything. $50 million. A Star Wars movie, an episodic Star Wars movie. What are you talking about? And you enter it with reverence and you do what you can, then hope that you've done stuff that's going to end up on that huge screen. Okay, so let's assume what he's saying is true. That he got given the writer's role and he went into it thinking, at any moment she could just take it away and hopefully something that I wrote will end up on the big screen. If that's the case, I don't believe that. I think he's running cover. But if that's the case, that's even worse. Like I said earlier, it's even worse. Because that's the environment. If that's the environment KK has created, where people are like, don't get any commitment, and so they feel like what they're writing or what they're contributing, it could just end up being nothing. Is that going to motivate you to put your best foot forward, to put your best ideas, to spend the most time, to really care? Or is it just going to be just do whatever she says? So maybe this is true, because it feels like that's all anyone ever does. But I do know that this is garbage, because he was absolutely hired to be the writer of the film. Oh, here's funny. This is Screen Rant running cover 2. Many viewers had assumed this project was in trouble because it had changed writer, but he's been consistently indicating that this is exactly what he expected to happen. Consistently since when? He had the privilege of playing a part, creating a draft, and now that task has been handed over to someone else. He didn't expect anything different. I beg to differ. October. Peaky Blinders, Stephen Knight will no longer write. Charmin, no longer. And don't forget, she already got rid of Lindelof and Gibson. Have they come out and said how wonderful it was for their... That maybe something from their draft is going to get used? What is going on? This is all nonsense. And it's like they think we're dumb. Like, you don't think we can go back and look at stuff and see what was going on? Like Disney. Like, they're just banking on people being complete... I guess they just think people are dumb and they're just smarter than everybody else. News of Knight's departure comes as production ramps up on the prolific writer's Peaky Blinders movie starring Cillian Murphy and Barry Keoghan. We've no word on the reason for Knight's exit, whether it's a case of scheduling issues or creative differences or simply cold feet. But we'd imagine that this development is going to push production on Ridley's Star Wars return back until at least 2025, if not longer. Like, no one thought it was like, oh, I'm here to write a little thing and then maybe they'll use it. Screenwriter Stephen Knight has exited. That's what he is. He was meant to write the movie. Rey Skywalker film lost its writer. Stephen Knight. Like, Stephen Knight is officially out as writer. Like, they're kind of trying to downplay it now. Like, he was like, jotting down like just a little on a cocktail napkin version, and then they'll maybe use some of that. No, he was the writer. He replaced the other two guys. He was replacing writers. Exited as the writer. Like, guys, anyone falling for this garbage, this is just a guy who's like, you know what? I'm gonna come out and say these things and she's my friend or whatever. Maybe they asked him to. I think they probably did. The timing is way too convenient. It's just they're all, you gotta kind of play the game and, it's okay, So you get other work and stuff. He's parted ways. Writer has lost its screenwriter. Stephen Knight. Stephen Knight is no longer writing the Rey movie. He has backed out of the upcoming Rey movie. Stephen Knight no longer write. Okay, I'm not going to keep going, but No, he was the writer. He replaced the other 2 writers. He wasn't just jotting down notes hoping something would stick. This is total cover because Kathy went on a rant on Thursday about, how everything's not disorganized and everything's perfectly fine and this is exactly how things are supposed to operate. And to the credit of the interviewer of that interview, I don't remember what outlet it was. It was a Deadline. They asked the tough questions, and you didn't even have to hear her say it. Through the words on the page, you could feel the tension. She was definitely not pleased with some of the questions, but completely defensive, acting as if everything was normal. And now you have this writer coming out saying, "Oh no, I knew all along I was just going to be there for like 3 months, and and they were maybe going to use some of my ideas or not, but I don't know." Like, no.
This pure poppycock! You can let them do that?
Kathleen Kennedy stressed the relentless focus of Star Wars fans is actually something of a problem. All too often, the people criticizing don't understand the industry or the processes in play. Far from being in trouble, Knight is indicating Rey's new Jedi Order movie is simply going through the standard development pipeline. Yeah, that's standard. Going through like multiple writers and multiple directors. This is totally insane that Stephen Knight is coming out and saying these things. It's easy to understand why fans have become so hyper-focused. There have been so many canceled Star Wars movies and TV shows after all. That said, when it comes to the Rey movie, Lucasfilm know how important Daisy Ridley is. It remains to be seen whether this particular project will happen, but Rey is far too important to the studio. Okay, so there you go. So it's here we go with the lying and the just fakery, hoping you're dumb, hoping you fall for this. Kathleen Kennedy, I have to believe she sent this guy a text and said, "Hey, can you just tell everybody that this was the plan all along?" Because it wasn't. And if it was, they would have said that at the very beginning when he was hired. Oh, he's just coming on to just do like a quick little thing and then we're going to get rid of him. And then when he left, he just kind of left. There was no explanation. Nobody came out and said, "Oh yeah." Now all of a sudden, 5 months later, he's coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, that was all the intention," instead of coming out immediately when he left, because it was perfectly normal, right? So why didn't he just come out and say, "Oh yeah, this was the plan all along, blah, blah, blah"? Because it wasn't. This is another Kathleen Kennedy trying to protect herself. Stephen Knight's, doing her a favor. Maybe she's going to hook him up with some other project or something in return or something. But as if. Do you actually believe this guy's, this is, to me, this is ridiculous. But let me know in the comment section what you think. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. It always helps the channel. Feel free to check out anything else on my channel. Have yourselves a really good day.